Please introduce yourself.
My name is Paul Ferraro. I've been working with the IU for 7 years. This is my 7th year. I worked 5 years in the ES program, and this is my 2nd year in the partial hospitalization program.
Please describe your roles and responsibilities as a special education teacher in a partial hospitalization classroom.
Well, I would say the first goal of the PHP is to try to get the students' behaviors to a level where they can transition into the regular education classroom. A lot of the things we do are behaviorally related. For example, I can't believe you gotta stop. I don't know. Can you stop? I would say the role of a teacher in a partial hospitalization program is to work within their IEP and also, to work with them using their IEP and their behavioral interventions to get them ready to transition back into the regular education setting.
How is this different from being a special education teacher in other classrooms?
Well, I mean, in the PHP program, we have to meet with the parents. We meet with them every 20 days to discuss their progress. And I would say the one component here, as opposed to another classroom, is this classroom is behaviorally driven, which means it's not that they don't get an education in here. It's just that they are in here to get their behaviors under control. So, like I said, they can transition into their the regular education classroom.
What is milieu therapy?
Milieu therapy is the combination of therapeutic interventions during the educational classes. So, for example, if I'm teaching a lesson and a student has a behavior, I would stop the lesson and say, okay, you use your coping skills such as stop and count to 10, or count from 10 to 1. Take deep. Stop it. I'm sorry.
What is milieu therapy, and can you explain how you provide it in the classroom?
Yes. Milieu therapy is the combination of therapeutic interventions during the educational classes. So, for example, if I'm teaching a class and a student has a behavior, I would ask the student if they need to go to the calming area of the classroom or use such coping skills as, count from 1 to 10. Just sit there quietly. If they need to draw, they could draw. Some kids like to write. So that's what I would say that is.
As a special education teacher, considering your students diagnosed with mental health and behavioral disorders, what are the most commonly observed behaviors displayed by these students that inhibit learning?
Well, I would have to say that the most common behavior is just not on task. A lot of it is, I think it's task of, they don't want to, stop, cut. Wait.
As a special education teacher, considering your students diagnosed with mental health and behavior disorders, what are the most commonly observed behaviors displayed by these students that inhibit learning?
Well, I would say the most commonly displayed behaviors are, it's when they shut down. Now, I know a lot of students have a learning disability. They have a hard time reading. So if they're asked to read, they might shut down. So, for example, they might, throw something on the floor, throw something across the room. They may yell at you. They may yell at other students, all because they don't want to read or do the non-preferred activity at hand.
In your experience, what are the most effective strategies to help your students with various mental health disorders learn, focus, and or behave better?
Well, I mean, we use a lot of rewards in our classes, a lot of ABA things. For example, if they're on task, we give them stars in our classroom. Once they earn, a certain number of stars, they can, choose a reward. And I would say on the other hand too, we have to have consequences in our classroom also. So that might be, they don't earn any stars or any coins. And then I would say, as far as teaching, it's just rote rehearsal. It's just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Try to make it as concrete as I can for them, so they can learn.
How has your experience being a student influenced the way you teach? Do any of your experiences as a student shape the way you teach your students today?
That's a good question. I'm just trying to think. I mean, when I was in school, it was just, the teacher would write the assignment on the, she would write the assignment. We would have to, open to that page, read, do a few questions. I would say, in a classroom like this, I wouldn't use that strategy because, like I said, it's got to be all hands on. It's got to be the instruction has to be differentiated for all the students. I have students in my class right now, from grades K to 3. So what is going to work with the third grader probably won't work with the kindergartner. When I was in school, I had a hard time with reading. With my times tables, I just had a horrible time with them. I'm looking. I think in looking at it now. In looking at it now, I think I had a learning disability. I know I did, but it was like the 80s. It's not that long ago. However, we just didn't have all those services that the kids have nowadays.
Thank you very much for your input.
You're welcome.
You've been a great help.